Racing to the 2021 Kentucky Derby, and this time we got a pair of Kentucky Derby preps. We're going to go to the Big A, the ghetto of New York, and take a look at the Withers Stakes, 1 1/8 on the main track. And we also go to Florida and the Sam F. Davis, part of the big card at Tampa Bay Downs. Now the Withers Stakes is always interesting because you always get a few horses coming out of that Jerome Stakes and they stretch it out to 1 1/8, and then sometimes they will skip the Gotham now that that's a mile and usually draws better horses, but it's a shorter distance, or they'll come out of the Withers and they don't want to shorten them up and wait for the Wood Memorial. So it's kind of an interesting prep race. Some of the key contenders we're going to be focusing on here is the winner of the Jerome, wire to wire at almost 7-1. That was Capo Kane, and he shipped in from Parks that day and kind of took him by surprise. He was not expected to be on the lead. I think people were a little bit skeptical of a couple of his Park speed figures, but he got an aggressive ride, got to the lead, and the son of Street Sense, who's got a nice pedigree to go 1 1/8. He's been training forwardly since that race, and I think Capo Kane is probably going to be a handful in here. He doesn't necessarily need to be on the lead, but I think he'll be forwardly placed in this spot if he isn't the leader. Donegal Bay is the one who I think is going to be on the lead. He ships in from Gulfstream Park. Big win against classier horses the last time at Gulfstream. In his debut, he struggled a little bit against a runaway winner at Saratoga. I like the fact that he ran at Saratoga. A lot of horses that are also rans there later on win and improve in their second and third starts at either Belmont or Aqueduct. Donegal Bay for Todd Pletcher, one of 2 horses in this race. I expect a big effort. I think he'll be on the lead, and if he can get a pace-pressing trip or on the lead against Capo Kane, I think he'll have a good matchup in that head-to-head battle. Risk-taking for Chad Brown enters off a win. He's had 3 starts in his career. Looks like he can come from off the pace. And another horse I want to take a look at is Eagle Orb, who was second last time out to Capo Kane. He didn't really get a help on the front end. He came running late and got second, but that was after Capo Kane already had established the big lead in that race. So I think Eagle Orb, who was bet down that day, possibly can improve a little bit, but I'm not sure he can jump up to that lower 90s that it's probably going to take here in the Withers Stakes. Another horse you may want to take a look at is Overtook for Todd Pletcher. He is a closer, so you've got Donegal Bay on the front end, you've got Overtook on coming from behind if the pace gets a little bit hot, and then Civil War, a made special weight winner, a little bit slower on the speed figure wise, but definitely a contender in this spot. So last week we stamped Greatest Honor as one to watch, possibly all 3 of them from the Robert Lewis. I think the key here is going to be pace. I think the 2 horses that have the best chances of really impressing in this race is Donegal Bay and Capo Kane. My selection is going to be Donegal Bay. I like the son of Uncle Mo. I like the fact that he could improve here in his 3rd lifetime start, which is often a career top for many horses. And I like the fact that he could be the controlling speed. The only question mark is shipping up from Florida to the cooler weather this time of the year. Could be interesting to see what Donegal Bay does in this spot, but I think he could either come back in the Withers or the Wood Memorial. We go to Tampa Bay for the Sam F. Davis, a full field, 12 horses, and this is a big card, 12 races on the Saturday, and this is going to go as race number 11. The big contenders here in this spot, I think you definitely want to take a look at horses like Smiley Sabatka. And you know what's interesting about him, he got a nice trip the last time. He was tagged on the line after setting some ambitious fractions. I think he is the speed of the speed in this spot. Another horse that's going to take a lot of money, especially after winning last week, is Greatest Honor. He was raced against Known Agenda. Known Agenda came back and didn't run very good in the Remsen Stakes, but that was a real slow surface that day. He's been training steadily down at Gulfstream Park, trying to get ready for this race. I think he's been pointed for this race for a few weeks now. So Known Agenda is going to take a lot of money in this spot. I'm going to be taking him probably off my tickets because I think he's not going to be a good value for the price. Candyman Rocket is interesting off the stretch out. I liked his last win. He's got a little bit of a funky stride. I'm not sure a lot of those candy rides have bad strides on them. But I like the improvement second time out. He's another one that came off the layoff stretches out from 6 furlongs to 1.16 miles. Candyman Rocket. Nova Regs is a little bit light on the Brisnet speed figures, but I think he's another one who's improving at the right time. And last year we saw a Sol Volante go off the turf onto the dirt, and the Snake Juice, Patrick Biancone, he's going to try to get it done again, this time with Lucky Law. So that's another one of the main contenders. You may want to take a little bit of a look at the rail horse Hidden Stash in this race. Again, speed figure's not as strong as Candyman Rocket and Smiley Sabatka, but I do think he could get a nice trip, and he drew inside of some of the other speed. My top selection in this race is going to be Smiley Sabatka. I thought he was tagged on the line the last time. I thought he ran some good fractions. Not sure he can get away from Candyman Rocket early, but I think if he can slow down the fractions a little bit, he can kind of separate from, those two can separate from the rest of the field, and then it's the matter of who can quicken to the wire. So that's a look at the Withers Stakes and the Sam F. Davis. Leave a comment below who you like. Remember, ring that bell and hit subscribe as we continue to race you towards the 50-point races in this series. Next week we'll be going to Oaklawn Park. We'll also be going to the fairgrounds and some bigger races coming up. The Withers Stakes, Donegal Bay, and in the Sam F. Davis, I'm going to go with Smiley Sabatka here as we race you to the 2021 Kentucky Derby.